My story started with a startup that failed catastrophically.
Let's give a little bit of juice to the people that are listening.
So after this, I had to get like a real job. There was just something about startup life that drew me back. And even worse, I convinced my brother, who was with Google, across the road to quit his job as well.
You have created something that I always bring out as an example of what I think people should aspire to do.
We grew the company to over $1 million in revenue. Along this journey, Andrea, I had a child and I decided I want to downsize my life. And I gave myself a challenge to see how small can I keep this company.
So it's not always a question of getting more.
I have two rules basically. The first rule is not hire anybody. The second rule is to finish work at 3:30 p.m.
What tools do you use to manage everything?
But now what I realize is you can still delegate, but you can delegate to Claude or to ChatGPT.
Maybe to have your life, you need $2,000 per month, but living in Croatia, in the seaside.
Yeah. What are you chasing? What if I change the things that you value? You cannot do more than 4.5 hours of deep work per day.
I always like those things that says, fuck it, I'm doing my thing, and then regardless of what it is, I'm going to do it. Welcome to the Elliot for Water podcast. Here we will talk with entrepreneurs and change makers about water, social impact and business. I'm Andrea, your host, and this episode is brought to you by Elliot for Water. Elliot for Water is a new tab extension that turns your homepage into a productivity dashboard and then uses 20% of the revenue to finance clean water projects. If you want to learn more, go to elliottforwater.com. And without further ado, here's your episode. And we are live. Welcome to the podcast, Kareem.
Thank you so much, Andrea, for having me. I know we first spoke like 6 years ago, so it's always nice to
catch up.
To stay in touch and just catch up. So thank you for having me.
No, it's my pleasure. As I was saying before we started the recording, it's really special for me to record this episode because you have created something that I truly admire and something that I always bring out in my personal life when I'm talking with friends as an example of what I would like to do, or even more what I think people should aspire to do. So I'm hinting it, but we will get into that little by little. Let's start by letting people know who you are and what your company is doing right now, because of course you are an entrepreneur, but I'll let you give a little bit more of details about that.
Yeah, thank you so much. So my story started with a startup that failed catastrophically. This was about maybe seven years ago. Sorry, maybe 8, way longer than that, maybe 10 years ago, more than 10 years ago. And I was also, it was around the time that I was finishing college and I had to get a real job. So after this bad
Real
experience,
job, I like
after this experience, I had to get like a real job. So I worked in LinkedIn for about 2 years. And then I moved over to a company called HubSpot, where I worked there for 2 years. But there was just something about startup life that drew me back. So 2 weeks away from a promotion at HubSpot, it was a small promotion, like maybe 5% increase or something. I decided to quit my job. And even worse, I convinced my brother, who was working with Google, across the road to quit his job as well. I told
The
him,
black sheep.
yeah, let's start a company. And we didn't know what it was. We just knew that we wanted to leave, which I don't recommend. I recommend you know what you want to do before you leave. But thankfully it worked out. We built a company called Chopcast that we ran for about 6 years. It's still running, but I basically stepped away recently. We grew the company to over $1 million in revenue. And we were rejected by all investors, but customers were coming. So we're like, okay, let's just deal with the customers. We raised a small amount, maybe 150K across 7 years, which is a very, very small amount. So I would say we're predominantly bootstrapped, but we're grateful for the people who did invest in this regard. But basically along this journey, Andrea, I had a child and I decided I want to downsize my life more. So I told my brother, I appreciate that you quit Google to start this 6 years ago, but I just need to leave. So you continue. As CEO, I'm going to step away and basically create a company of one. And I read a book called Company of One. And man, it changed my life. It just talks about why small is the new big, and how sometimes when you're just trying to grow for no reason, grow for growth's sake, which is understandable. it just creates a lot of like challenges. Once you start to see success, you're like, okay, well, now I need to hire people. And then it's like, okay, but now I need to coach them. And now I need to, maybe replace the people or build more processes so that the people can understand. And it just starts to become more and more complex. And I gave myself a challenge to see how small can I keep this company. And my goal is to not hire anybody, basically. And to just keep it small, because once I start hiring, it's a sign that now it's become so sophisticated that I need more people. So my challenge to myself is, how can I keep this very small? I have a revenue goal, but there's, you can say it's like a maximum ceiling, because I know that anything more than that, it's going to start costing you in things that you cannot get back. It's going to cost you in terms of life. And I know you want to talk about this, like costing you in terms of life, in terms of like your health, work-life balance. People say health is wealth, so we can get into all that for sure.
No, that's exactly what I think, because everything comes at a price, and there's always this equal balance of exchange. If to get something, you need to give something away. So it's not always a question of getting more and more and more and more and more. It's just a question of understanding who you are, accepting who you are, knowing that you are going to be way happier with a certain type of life, and then you just go and live that type of life. But just out of curiosity, are you comfortable in saying what is your goal with this new company in terms of, you said I have a revenue goal?
Yeah, my goal is to make 50K MRR, a monthly recurring revenue. So
okay. You know why I ask you this? Because I know you from outside, and you said I want to see how small I can keep it.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine some people were thinking, okay, this is just for small entrepreneurs or people who want to make like 2,000 euros per month. No, we are talking about 50,000 pounds per month of revenue. So it's money if we compare it to Wall Street, but it's still quite some money. So I wanted to highlight that, because
no, and that's a good question. I should have clarified it, but I mean it's and the way it's designed is that even if I don't hit this goal, it's okay, because I have no investors. I don't have a team to support. Like my brother, for example, he's who's running a Shopcast. I think he's amazing with people. I am not very good with people. I'm good, like, friends or social, but to work with people, I prefer to just work by myself. This is just my style. And it took me a long time to realize this, but I think, like, because I was reading a lot of books about the power of delegating and the art of delegation, and that took 6 years of my life. But now what I realize is you can still delegate, but you can delegate to Claude or to ChatGPT or
there you are.
You can still delegate, but you can delegate to AI, and still keep yourself, the human part, keep the human part doing the most important part, but the things that are time consuming, that the clients don't really care about, if it's done by AI or done by John done by, they don't care who gets it done as long as it gets done. But there are some parts where they really care about the human aspect. So I'm trying my best to learn the difference between the two.
And what are you doing with this new company? It's called Bonafide. So what does Bonafide do?
Yeah, so it's called Bonafide FM, like a radio station. Basically, what we do is we do fireside chats for companies with their target customers, because it's very difficult to send a cold, like, outreach campaign to your target audience, because you're competing in the inbox with so many other people who have the same exact idea. So we kind of take one kind of like step differently, which is we invite them onto a show to build up a relationship with them, and use that as a way to just kind of warm the relationship with them, between them and the client. And then from at that stage, they're practically friends, so it becomes much easier to transition into a business conversation. And research shows that, like, your best business deals come from warm introductions and your warm network. Absolutely. But the problem with that is everybody says, oh, well, I only know 2, 3, 4. I only know 4 people. I don't know more people who could work with me. This is a way to actually scale that, because every person who comes on the show can nominate other people. So there's like a compound effect there if they nominate 2 or 3 people each. And then another thing we do is we look at when they actually make posts on LinkedIn, we scrape the likes and comments that they get on LinkedIn to determine from the engagement who are the people that could also be a good fit for the show. So it's kind of like a compound effect. And I'm actually writing a book about this phenomena. So hopefully it will be ready in the coming months. But for now, I'm just trying to make sure that the model works with my existing clients and so on. So yeah.
And this last thing that you said, I know for a fact that it works because I do it myself when I worked with clients in managing their events and promoting their events. I was doing what you're doing automatically. I was doing it manually, seeing who likes, and then invite them into the page and try to create the connection because that works because they then remember you and you can talk to them in the next thing that you're promoting because you're creating this connection. And I can assure everyone who's listening that these services that you're providing, they are extremely not only good but also valuable because you put yourself out in the videos, you put your face out, you put your thoughts in a more prominent way, and people like to see other people's faces and see how they talk, see their energy. So that's it. Super, super cool.
Exactly. And the best part about it is that you don't have to hire anyone. It's completely free. You can do it by yourself. It takes 5 minutes to create an account on Spotify. You can go so far by yourself,
And then we come to you, and we scale it up 10 times to 15 times.
Well, it depends on the company's and on the company's goals, but yeah, that's the idea. Yeah.
That's cool. Okay, my very important question, which is linked to what we were saying initially. You mentioned quickly why you changed to this small company. Let's go a little bit more there, and what I would like to know is how your life has changed on the daily to daily when you went from a classic startup to a one-man show, let's say.
Yeah, great question. So I have two rules basically. The first rule is to stay small and not hire anybody. The second rule is to finish work at 3:30 p.m., which is a little bit crazy, especially for me. But this is my challenge to myself. I was trying this a little bit in Chopcast, the previous company. So I have some experience to discipline myself to finish at 3:30 p.m. my time. But I also read many books that talk about this concept that you can only do 4 hours of like high quality work in a day. Sorry, 4.5 hours, according to Cal Newport. That's largely like if people know about the concept of deep work, which comes from Cal Newport. You cannot do more than 4.5 hours of deep work per day. And there's so many different like examples that he shares in his book Deep Work, and also in the most recent one, Slow Productivity, that like just stop working after 4.5 hours, because you can still be working, but you'll be on Gmail, looking at your calendar. Yeah. You're kind of like wasting time doing things that on your phone, like you exist, but you're not really doing high quality work. So this is the challenge for myself. Sometimes I finish at 4, which I'm not too proud of, but I'm trying my best to finish at 3:30. So these are basically the two rules. Of course, the other thing as well is that that has changed is it became harder because I cannot really delegate to people anymore. So even if I wanted to delegate to AI, I have to think about how I'm going to explain it to them, because as you know, garbage in, garbage out. So you have to really think about how you want to prompt the systems. Because AI is always eager to please. So it will never tell you, Kareem, your logic is wrong. It'll tell you, sure, I'll give you what you want.
Great idea. You are the best person I ever met in my life.
Exactly. So
you are a genius.
Exactly, which is very dangerous. It's nice for one day, but afterwards it becomes very dangerous because there's nobody to tell you. You have to always ask AI, is my thought process correct? Or do you think I should be thinking about this? Because one of my bad habits is I'm very impatient and I like to just execute before fully understanding something. So sometimes this is not good for many reasons, but one of the biggest reasons is because you're spending so much time climbing up a ladder when you realize the ladder was on the wrong wall. You should have been climbing this one, not this one. So these are things that I'm learning, but overall I think it's definitely rewarding that you can kind of come up with an idea and implement it right away, as opposed to getting your team's buy-in or hiring people. I spend so much time hiring people, just trying to find people with the right with the right skill sets and coaching and stuff like that. And this is again one of my weak points, is I'm not very good at maybe being a people manager, so these are things I'm learning.
So what all this was, let me say it because it's extremely beautiful, to spend more time with your daughter.
With my son, yeah.
Yeah, it's a son, sorry.
Yes, but also just to have energy for my family.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like if I finish, I mean, you're a founder of many years, so you know this more than most people. It takes over your life. It's very normal to finish work at 7 p.m., 8 p.m.,
Yeah.
9 p.m. Like it's very normal, and that's why I'm trying to just see how can I have more energy to spend with my family and obviously my kid as well.
Yeah, that's great. And so you mentioned the AI. What tools do you use to manage everything and to put a structure that allows you to work these 5 hours a day?
Yeah. So I want to say that this 5 hours a day, it's still I am doing it, but I'm still trying to figure out how to be more effective in it. So
Yeah.
in case anybody's listening, I did not figure it out yet. I'm still trying to figure it out, but
The
I'm getting
process.
close, I think. So in no particular order, I use a tool called make.com. It
Okay.
used to be called Integromat, but now it's called Make. This is basically a way for you to build automations based off of things that you need to do every day or every week or every month. Just build an automation for it once. Personally, I found Make to be a very technical tool, and it took me a long time to learn it. I can't lie, but it's just really worth learning how to do it because it just makes your life so much easier. And one of the things that I was talking about actually with someone right before this is it almost doesn't matter if in job interviews when they say, do you know how to use this tool or that tool? This almost doesn't matter anymore because tools are just different UIs, user interfaces, and now you could use something like ChatGPT or Claude MCP to basically be able to control those tools for you. People may have heard of like Claude skills and connectors and things like that. Today I had to do a presentation. I used a software called Gamma, and I
Yeah.
didn't even need to open the software. I just told Claude, we already discussed it, so why don't you just go and build the presentation for me? And it did that. So yeah, sorry, make.com. I would also use Claude as mentioned. I don't really use ChatGPT anymore.
Okay. How come
I
cloud and not ChatGPT?
I think Claude is a lot more it is a lot more thoughtful in the responses that it gives, and I feel that it's better for anything like content related or anything where writing really matters or thinking as well.
Yeah, I do
And the
same
good thing
thing.
about Claude as well is that it's really really good at helping you write prompts, and you can take these prompts and use them in any of
Okay.
the other tools. But yeah, I would say Make and Claude for the most part. There's a bunch of other tools. Like I use clay.com
Yeah.
as well.
I
Uh,
started watching YouTube videos
but
today because of you, because I was reading all about clays from your posts. And then since I was about to have the podcast, I said, let me go and dig deeper into this clay thing because I just heard it a lot of times all around, but I never actually went into it. But I think I'm gonna just open the account tonight after we are done.
yeah. No, it's a great tool. I lead the Clay Club Dublin here in Ireland. So yeah, it's a great tool. But if there's one tool people can take away from this conversation, it's not Clay. It's Make. Make is much more. Is much more. You can build a version of Clay on Make. Like it's like I don't know, learning how to make pizza or learning how to cook in general.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
me, this is what Make is. Yeah.
And these links, because before the podcast, I was talking with another person in the team, Fabio. He knew in one way or the other we would have arrived to AIs because he assumed about the productivity things you will use AI. So he asked me, ask him, what do you think about the AI in the future of the job scale? Meaning that AI is helping people like us because we are building companies, we are starting small, and it makes things quicker for us and super easier. But bigger companies will be start using them as well. So what do you think will happen to that type of landscape of all the people in the companies and in the corporate world, let's say? Because I have an idea, but I'm curious to know what you
What
think.
is your idea, first of all?
My idea is that we are going to be at a crossroad where companies are going to be put in front of two decisions. One is they keep the same structure, they keep the same people, and they just make them work more with AI and try to get as much money as possible, squeeze them as much as they can with steroids of AI. And the second one is that we can reduce the amount of work done in certain aspects with AI, meaning which will naturally it would probably mean that people might have to change job because there might be less requests for actual time. But at the same time, it might mean that since there's less requests on the classic corporate ladder, people might start thinking, okay, maybe I don't need to go and work at a bank anymore because that was the safe thing to do. Maybe I can follow my gift, which is cooking tacos, or which is working and
Right.
staying in my
Yeah.
village and doing something there, or working with my family, something more artistic,
Yeah.
something that is not related to the classic corporate ladder, which is probably what I will opt for, because people will reconvert to something that might be more ad hoc for them rather than just going into the rat race and follow the classic structure for the sake of following, because that was the only route that they could take.
You're touching like my heart now, like the core of what I believe. I agree with you. I would interpret it a little bit like how I would interpret it is just a prediction, but I think that in the future, everyone will, most people will probably have their own business because of the reasons that you mentioned. But if you really cannot do it, then maybe you'll get a job for a little bit and then go back to doing your own business. Kind of like, for example, today morning, for example, early in the morning, I had to drop off my wife to take a bus to go to another city here in Ireland for work. And her original plan was to just call a taxi company, and she was just calling like traditional taxi companies because we live in the countryside here in Ireland. But we realized that there is Uber actually here, so I told her let's just use Uber, and then we booked Uber, but then we canceled and said no, I'll just drop you, it's okay. But it's something like that where maybe it's not the best example, but I feel like everyone's going to use Uber. But if you really cannot find, then maybe you're going to pick up the phone on Google to find the traditional taxi company to call them. I feel it's going to be like that because, like you said, like if you just have an idea, execution is no longer going to be a blocker for you. It's difficult. Yeah, exactly. Similar to me, you no longer need to hire people. There's huge benefits to hiring people, but this is not the only way, especially if you want to do something small. You can survive by yourself, maybe, so that's been the case for a lot of people that I look up to who are also doing like companies of one. They are not, you don't see them in the newspaper, but they're happy,
They might be
that's
way
it.
happier than the people that you do see in the newspaper. Let me tell you that.
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
So let's give a little bit of juice to the people that are listening. Give me 3 tips for solo founders about shaping their day or try to work things out, something that you learn.
Yeah. So great question. I would say, and these are tips that I give to myself because I don't think I'm good enough to give advice to other people. But the first one is learn make.com. It's gonna suck, but it's much better than paying people $200 an hour who are like make consultants. I'm sure they are good, but you can learn this and save the money yourself. Because otherwise you're gonna need them a lot. So use make.com. Learn how to use make.com because it's gonna help you get so much time back. And speaking of time, give yourself a challenge to finish work early. This is actually gonna help you get more done because you have a lot more pressure. One way to make it real is to schedule something personal that you cannot say no to at that time. So for me, it's to pick up my kid from kindergarten, basically, from a school. So there's no way I cannot take a meeting because I have to meet this deadline. The third thing I would say is know when enough is enough, if that makes sense. Which means, for me, it means that like what are you chasing? You know,
Yeah.
why do you want so much money? Um, what if I cut all of your expenses? Do you still need as much money? What if I change the things that you value? Do you still need much money? Maybe you start to value like relationships more and your health, and these are things that are basically free. Maybe you start to like I've been reading a lot about like minimalism and stoicism and stuff like that, as I'm sure, like knowing you a little bit, I'm sure you've definitely read a little bit about these topics as well, if not a lot. But sometimes changing what you desire in general translates into, well, therefore I don't need that much money anymore because I'm happy. I'm happy out, and I'm able to live okay with the resources that I have. So yeah, just know when enough is enough would be the third tip.
Have you ever read the 4 Hour Work Week?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
That all this reminds me a lot of that book by Tim Ferriss, which the whole principle was maybe you don't need to become a millionaire. Maybe to have your life, you need to make, I'm making just
Hmm.
a fake number, $2,000 per month, but living in Croatia, in the
Yeah.
seaside, and to finance that, you need to be working this amount of hours per week, and you're gonna have the life of your dreams because that's what actually is speaking to you. Which was a book that also started a lot of things in me
Mm.
to go
Yeah.
towards the direction that you are going and trying to find my own thing. Even because I have this feeling that even if you become extremely rich, which obviously we all want to have money, but at a certain point, I believe that they are not going to make you
Hmm. After a
happier
certain
than
point, it
you're
doesn't
at a
matter anymore.
certain level. It's just going to be a question of power, a question of ambitions for, because obviously if you want to go and create spaceships to go to Mars, that's a whole nother thing. But if that's not your ambition and your mission on Earth, there are different levels of things, and you can manage them better and manage your life around those things. And I always believe that the people that are the happiest are the people who know who they are, and then they stick to their true self, which is what you just said. Know when is enough for you, and
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's I think it's a privilege to be able to, like, for privilege for I think for you to be in your position, for me to be in my position, like for us to be able to do the things that we love and care about. Like, you're a very mission driven person. I know that for a fact. Um, it's easy to say, I wish I could do this, but I guess I just have to do my 9 to 5 job. And for the reasons that you mentioned and that you and I were discussing, it's never been easier to start your own thing. I remember when I first left my company, I had this weird idea in my head that everybody wants to start their own business, but they're just scared. So I'm like, let me try to put a message out there. So I started with my wife. I'm like, you're so smart. Why do you work for this company? Why don't you start your own thing? Blah blah blah. Blah. And she told me, Kareem, did it ever occur to you that not everybody wants to start their own thing? I'm perfectly happy working in a large company and so on. And then as I spent more years in the entrepreneurship, like life similar to you, my the honeymoon phase was over, and I started to really see the realities of, sometimes you're almost making payroll to be able to pay your team, or sometimes a really important customer and you really needed them is asking to cancel and for a refund. Like anything and everything. We've seen so many things in the last 6 7 years, um, but now with not just with AI, but like with all this like agentic stuff. Um, there was a period where I stopped recommending people to start their own business because I realized that it was very
yeah,
it's
I
not
did
as
the
good.
same. When I started, I was like,
But
yeah, just do it, just do it.
yeah.
Now that I went for it, I'm still doing jobs on the side because this is the second time. This is another company basically, and
Hmm.
so now I'm very careful about people telling me, "Do you want to start?" I say, do it
If
if you
you
know
must,
that
yeah.
that's your journey. That's
Yeah.
totally fine. But I'm not telling people anymore just because
Yeah.
it's a grind out there.
No,
it's not like in the
exactly.
movies.
Exactly. But what's interesting is for me at least, I don't know if you feel the same way. I was very excited to tell people, and then I was like, don't start this. It's very hard. It's shit. Don't do this again. Don't start a business. I mean, but now I'm coming back to saying, actually, there's so much technological advances that why don't you start something at least on the side, just to see, just to dip your toes in the water because of that prediction that we talked about earlier. Like, I really believe that people will at least have the resources to start their own business, and job will only be like a temporary plan B, but everyone will be able to do whatever they want to do and make money from it. Maybe not a ton of money, but enough to live for sure.
That would be ideal, because in my case, for example, it's not that I'm telling people to start companies. I'm always the outside guy. I'm always the one who likes people who go their own ways, which is why I have 3 Pro Blaster or Funko Pops behind, because they never went to do the main federation. They did their own things in Japan, and then I'm always about these things. So I'm always trying to push people to follow that sparkle that they have inside, regardless if it's business, if it's art, if it's music, agriculture, or whatever. I always like those things that says, fuck it, I'm doing my thing, and then regardless of what it is, I'm going to do it. So it doesn't matter what it is, but I just like that little spark.
Yeah.
And
No, exactly.
listen, my friend, I know you don't have much time left. Can I still ask you 2 quick questions?
Yeah. I'm good for like a few more minutes if that's okay with you.
For me, I will stay here until tonight, so that's all good. One that you... Actually, let me ask that after. The first one is that I'm going to hire you for 5 minutes. As we said, Elliot for Water is a productivity dashboard, which means that you open your new tab and you have different productivity tools to help you stay organized. Now you have just become, and congratulations, the new manager of the development of Elliot for Water. So what is the one tool, widget, third-party tool that we are going to integrate into Elliot for Water? If we forget Make, because I know we might integrate Make.
Would you say integrating or just a feature in general, regardless of
whatever you
integration?
want. It could be an integration. It could be something that we create from zero. It could be you are the manager. You decide. You have freedom.
So I would say this is I think something that I was actually looking for the other day is, and I couldn't find it, and I even tried to go to replit.com to try and build it, and I couldn't build it. It's very simply being able to track not just how much time you spend in different tabs, but the context. For example, and this is something I'm trying to work on, I spend a lot of time in Claude all day, every day. So if I'm using a basic productivity tool, it'll say you spent 3 hours in Claude today. Great, I don't know, I don't remember what I did, I don't know the details. But imagine if you're able to have like a very basic or sophisticated AI layer that has context as to what you were doing inside Clay. So it can actually see what you were doing. And maybe it will tell me, Kareem, you spent 3 hours in Claude. Of those, an hour and a half was just helping you to rewrite emails. What the fuck are you doing? You need to spend, but you spent, 30 minutes on strategy. Okay, that's fine. 1 hour and a half on emails. And, so just to give me a bit more context, because I think that's something that a lot of us do, is usually we spend our time in like 2 or 3 different tools, but what did you do in those tools? Or like, you spent 5 hours in Google Chrome. Great. And what did I do? What did I do in Google Chrome? And then maybe like learning my habits as well, saying, hey, Kareem, I noticed that you're checking your inbox less. You only checked it once every hour instead of maybe once every 30 minutes like you used to do. So this is a good improvement. So it's a productivity tool that's actually learning from me, learning about my habits, and knows where I'm struggling so that it can help me get better.
Which is very fun for me to hear, because I'm doing that manually right now with an Excel files, and I'm writing the tasks that I need to do, and then I'm clocking them to see how much time I'm spending on those. So I didn't think for whatever reason about putting them into the dashboard. But well, there you are. You earn your salary for this month. Thank you
No,
very
thank you.
much for the consultancy. That was actually super good advice. And the last thing for me is you touched base about books. We talked about books. Any other recommendation? It doesn't have to be business. It can be stoicism, as you said before. It can be whatever, even Winnie the Pooh, if that marked you for some reason.
So a book that I would recommend, you mean?
Yeah, one book or two books, whatever.
I think one is so for me, the Obstacle is the Way. This is my number one book by far, by Ryan Holiday. It's a good introduction for anybody who wants to learn more about like stoicism and things like that. But unfortunately, the book is too popular. but it's such a good book. So I'm gonna give you another one as well, which is one that I'm reading at the moment. And this book is almost unknown. I mean, I think, and it's called Enough Already, and it's by a guy called Alan Cohen. I'm still reading the book. Do you know him?
I think so. It does ring a bell.
Okay, nice. But yeah, basically he talks about, I think the subtitle is like the power of radical contentment. So it's how to be satisfied with your life, how to not wait until you reach the next milestone, the art of being satisfied with your life, which I think is really good. Maybe a third book would be 4,000 Weeks, which is, the subtitle of that is, it's by Oliver Burkeman, UK guy. And the subtitle is Time Management for Mortals. And his whole idea is that, there's a fallacy with time management, which is the better you get at clearing your inbox or quickly responding to email, the more email you're going to get now because you're responding to them. So, and also he talks about the concept of like, you will never be 100% productive, and you just have to, just stop acting like you're going to live forever. Start paying attention to things that matter the most. And by all means, be productive. His background is he wrote a lot of productivity books, but he had this like eureka moment where it's like, be productive, but just know that if you have a list, I think it was him who said that, hopefully it's not somebody else, but if you have a long list of things that you want to do in life, just be okay with the fact that you will die before you finish this list. Maybe you'll do 2 or 3 things. So you might as well pick them now. It's not a negative book, but it's like a wake up book. I thought it had a very positive message though. So The Obstacle is the Way, Enough Already, and 4,000 Weeks I would suggest.
Well, thank you very much. Now they will go all the way up to the number 1 sellers in Amazon after the interview. Any last message that you want to give to the people listening?
No, just thank you for your time. And if you're not doing your own thing yet, why not?
There's no better way to end the episode with why not. Okay, everyone. Thank you very much for joining the episode. As always, Elliot for Water is a new tab extension that turns your new tab page into a productivity dashboard and then uses 20% of the revenue to finance clean water projects. So if you want to learn more, go to elliotforwater.com, give it a try, download it. Also, go to bonafide.fm. Kareem, where can people find you? On LinkedIn?
Yeah, LinkedIn is perfect, yeah.
You can follow Kareem, see his journey, read his posts. He's posting a lot about what he's learning, his experience, all these skills. So it's extremely interesting. I will link it in the description of the episode. And don't forget to follow us on YouTube and Spotify. Kareem, it was an absolute pleasure. I would have stayed another 2 hours, but we can do episode 2, 3, and 5, I'm pretty sure. And thank you very much for joining me.
Andrea, the pleasure is mine. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Fantastic. Bye-bye.